Welcome to the Lazy CEO Podcast, where Jim Schleckser, author of Great CEOs Are Lazy and founder of the CEO Project, features compelling experts and topics for CEOs of mid to large-size companies. Now, let's get started with the show.
Welcome, everybody, to another Lazy CEO podcast. My name is Jim Schleckser. I am your host. Now, if you remember from the last week, I told you that we were at number 99. This is our 100th podcast since we started doing this. I'm not even including the stuff we did during COVID. This is really since COVID, and we turned this into a podcast versus just a conversation. And having said that, on this auspicious 100th podcast, we will be changing the name of the podcast. So when you go looking for the Lazy CEO Podcast, you won't find it. Well, maybe you will. But anyway, what you should be looking for is the CEO Project Podcast. And so we're going to change the name to CEO Project Podcast. Whole bunch of reasons, including feedback from our audience that this wasn't the perfect name for what we're doing. But anyway, so look for that. This is the 100th podcast, but the 101, we're moving over to the CEO Project. And I'll have to remember to say it correctly because I'm sure I'm going to screw it up. But anyway, so today we've got a guest, and this should be a lot of fun because when we talk to CEOs, probably the number one area that they find as the point of constraint in their business is client acquisition. In other words, they go, man, if I just had more clients, my life would be amazing. And that's probably 40 or 50% of CEOs, their point of constraint is at client acquisition. And our guest today is kind of an expert at helping people bust open that point of constraint. So Jennifer Frye is the CEO of Appreciated Asset Business Solutions. They create, build, and fill sales pipelines for industry disruptors. Their sales acceleration program offers a concierge level done for you appointment setting service along with comprehensive prospecting strategy. Jennifer is a graduate of the A.B. Freeman School of Business at Tulane. She's a nationally recognized speaker. She is a trailblazer in the prospecting strategy business, a LinkedIn contributor, and a huge connector. So her fun facts. We should probably play two truths and a lie and figure out which of these are a lie, but I think they're all true. So at 12 years old, she was in a New Kids on the Block music video. So all you New Kids on the Block fans, you know, we've got a little bit of a connection here. In the downtime, she can be found watching Golden Girl reruns. Mm-hmm. Scary thought about the Golden Girls. This will make you all feel old. When they did that, they were about 50 years old. So you're like, oh my God, they were ancient. No, they were 50. Yeah. And as we all approach 50 years old, we go, that's not so ancient. And then finally, apparently she spent some time in Paris at the Olympics watching the newest Olympic sport, breakdancing. So welcome, Jennifer. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. This is awesome.
I'm just going to talk about your fun facts and forget your business. I mean,
let's go.
Well, start with, how was Paris and breakdancing? Did you enjoy yourself?
It was magic. It was magic. So my son has taken up breakdancing. He taught himself starting and now is taking classes. And I'm just extra like that when we found out that breaking was going to be a sport in the Olympics, rather than saying we'll watch it on TV, I said we will go and watch it. Wow. And it was spectacular. I've never been to the Olympics before, so that was a first for me.
Very cool. Was it hard to get tickets?
Not really. Once I found a third-party platform that was reputable.
Yeah, I have a friend who says, if I can solve something with money, it's not really a problem.
100%. You know, something I say about my business or any business is that there's zero problems in a business that more revenue can't solve.
Well, of course.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's get over to that a little bit. So you help people with identifying sort of perfect clients and then getting on the phone with them. And apparently you have a unique methodology for doing this. Let's start with, like, how did you get into this business? It's a bit of a niche. Although you see more and more of these people now. I think it's all software driven. It's a little different than the way you do it, I think. But how did you get into this business in the first place?
I had spent my whole career in sales and business development in some form or function. And during that time, a few decades, I had really developed an expertise in that top of the funnel activity, right? Prospecting and appointment setting, opening doors, seeing connections where other people may not see them came very naturally and easily to me. And cold calling is
Everybody loves cold calling.
right. I've actually built a business around the fact that everyone hates cold calling.
Exactly.
I'm like,
Yes.
great, we'll do it for you.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, it truly is the fastest, most effective way to build rapport with your prospect wish list. And it takes a bit of a mindset adjustment to get it away from like a sales conversation to truly an introduction and an education opportunity. But creating that high touch outreach is something that's really missing in a lot of sales strategies these days. And that's what we come in and create.
Yeah, and I think, the sort of digitalization of our lives has made people become dependent on the technology, and it's so damn impersonal. You can't really build personal connection over email. It just does not work, right? And people yet I remember my kids when I said they were looking for a ride somewhere, and I said, "Well, call so and so; they'll give you a ride." And they said, "Well, I texted them 3 times." I'm like, "Just pick up the phone and call the person," and they don't want to do it. So, talk to me about how you do it that has that higher personal touch. What is different about the 5 lead generation emails I get on LinkedIn every day?
Yeah. And you know what's funny is I get those too.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, did you even look at what I do?
My favorite one is they
Fascinating.
go, "Hey, Jim, we can help you write a book." I'm like, "You didn't even look at my profile. I've written 2 books already."
Right. So, so what's different about us is actually something that we've done from the beginning because it never occurred to me to do it any other way. When my client delivery team or callers, when they reach out to our client's prospect wish list, we do not pretend we are calling from our client's business. We do
Okay.
not pretend to work for them or with them. We call from appreciated asset and we recommend them. It is a consultative approach. It is completely above board and in integrity because it is transparent.
So
It never occurred to me to do it any other
run
way.
me through a typical phone call. Like, "Hi, hi, I'm Jim. I'm calling of Appreciate Assets. I want to tell you about how amazing the CEO project is." I mean, I know
Yeah,
but it's more sophisticated than that, but help me understand how you do it.
yeah. So what we do is we explain I'm with Appreciated Asset. We work with businesses on different B2B solutions, but specifically we're reaching out because one of our clients, the CEO project, has been a phenomenal resource to our other CEOs in creating community that XYZ. And we go into value proposition.
Right.
And again, it's just that mindset shift away from like pitching and selling someone something to just introducing them. Because the other thing that makes us very different is the way we curate the lists. So we get your ideal demographics, right?
Yep.
Size, location, industry, decision maker. That's pretty important for you, I bet. And then we cross-reference them with your ideal psychographics. And the psychographics, this takes a really long time to do by hand. It takes a lot of human capital to make this happen, but it's 100% worth it because we create a very targeted list where there's values alignment, where you're like-minded and like-hearted. So when you get on the call, you already have that commonality.
But how the heck do you figure out psychographics? And let's say I'm looking for
Yeah.
people who are humble and learners and, oriented towards performance. I'm making that
Yeah.
up. But like, how do I even figure that out?
Well, we've got a lot of ways. And the way we decide what that ideal psychographic is done through our discovery process, our
Yep.
onboarding. We call it our disruptor designer method.
Yep.
A great example, our ideal psychographic are disruptors, right?
Okay. And when
And
you
I'll tell
say
you,
that, what do you mean by that?
sure. A disruptor is someone who stands outside of status quo and delivers service that's so superior to the industry standard that we can render it irrelevant. There is no one else to work with. There is no one in lead gen who does what I do the way I do it. Zero.
Okay.
There are other people who set appointments. There's other people who, create new business opportunities. I'm not saying no, but no one does it in the way we do it. And so we're disrupting lead generation. Our ideal psychographic has that alignment. They want to disrupt their industry. Just because it's always been done this way does not mean it always must be done this way. When we know we have that, we've got a space to collaborate, to think outside the box, and to really lay down an intentional strategy.
But what if you have a normal business? Like I'm just dogging it out with other people that kind of do what I do,
Yeah.
or we had a conversation today about the buyers, let's say government buyers. They intentionally try to commoditize the people that are trying to sell to them. That's
Yeah.
part of their strategy, right?
Sure.
As buyers. So I got a normal business, and it would be hard to call me a disruptor. I do great work, but can you help somebody like that? Or you go, yeah, no, you're not a client for us. Would you pass on them?
Well, it depends how open they are to getting disruptive and to shaking it up. And I
Okay.
hear what you're saying. Like if you're, an HVAC company, like how, what can you do that's really that different? You get someone's HVAC working, hopefully.
Yeah. I got one the other
I'll
day
give
that
you,
we were talking to. They do building maintenance for commercial buildings.
yeah.
And they go, we'll do your landscaping and your elevator maintenance and your blah, blah, blah. And
Let me give you a prompt here to
yeah.
look. What are people's common misconceptions about this call? Why do people not want to hear from you? Why are they rolling their eyes? What are their preconceived misconceptions that we can blow out of the water, right? So let's look at that HVAC company. I don't need to talk to them because they're just going to tell me I need a whole new system. They're going to pressure me into things that I don't need. They're going to be dishonest. They're not going to show up when they say they do. They're not going to come back when they say they're going to. I'm going to have 6-hour windows that I'm going to have to be waiting at the house for.
Yep.
Okay, but that's not what it's like with these guys. And let me
Yeah.
show you why. I get it. I get it. They, a lot of people in this industry are dishonest. They're, unreliable. They don't give transparency. Let me tell you why my client is vastly different and will give you an experience that will keep you loyal to them because they will show you the loyalty that you deserve.
So you literally take the fears that they might have and you just put them right up front.
Yeah.
Like you might be feeling XYZ, blah, ABC, but let me tell you why that's not the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
a great sales technique. I mean, I always think if you name a fear, you mute the impact of the fear.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not about rebutting someone's objection.
No, you're acknowledging
It's about responding to it, right?
You're acknowledging. If I was you, I might be worried about this.
Right.
Yeah. I think it shows compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, and give me the weirdest industry you've ever done this for.
Oh, that's a good one.
And just remember, this is a family show. So.
Well, we've worked in the cannabis industry.
Okay.
With a B2B service that worked with cannabis businesses.
I've worked with some businesses that are probably having delivery of cannabis during the day, from what I could tell.
There you go. Yeah, there was maybe some crossover there.
Yeah.
We've worked in. Oh gosh, I have one client that I work with that she offers divorce support to companies.
Okay.
Divorce is like a $1 billion productivity killer.
Yeah.
For businesses, and it's not divorce, it's not legal assistance, but it's coaching to help people through really difficult transitions. I love that. Talk about disruptive. No one else is doing that. No one's talking about it.
Well, and nobody's selling it to businesses.
Right.
Like you can go hire a therapist, but the business isn't going to say, listen, you're going through a thing. We want to help you. Right.
Yeah.
That's
great. I got a client that's an actual PEO broker. So rather than calling 5 PEOs and getting sold by 5 different, he will go shop the PEOs. And some people do that with other benefits, but this is exclusively just PEOs. So he's the only one out there doing it.
No kidding. Oh, that's amazing. Well, it does limit your client set, if they go, hey, I just got a normal business. And so do you say no to a lot of people as a result of that?
We do say no, which is an absolute luxury that I do not take for granted because, of course, when you're starting your business, you don't really have that luxury.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we attract businesses who are disrupting their industries or want to. Sometimes people aren't, you're right. They're kind of in the flow, in the mix, but they see that they've got to do something different, and we can help them get there. You know, I don't believe in talking about disruption just for the buzzword of it. You have to really be committed to the follow through and creating a completely different experience for your clients.
Yep. Now, do you help people craft that? If you bump into somebody and they're, let's say, normal, and you go, let's reframe your offer in a way that it does disrupt, but that may mean some operational things for you if this feels like it works. Have you
Yeah, it's
helped
a
people
longer road, but
Yeah.
if they're open to it, yes, we love that.
Yeah, interesting. I maintained that if I opened up a home remodeling business that just showed up on time, completed the work on time and on cost, I would become a gajillionaire because everybody would use you and everybody would recommend you, right? You would not need to do any marketing effectively, because it's so rare. So your point about the HVAC one, I think, is on point. Now, when people do client acquisition or appointment setting poorly, what would you say are the 3 or 4 things like you really are not going to get the answer you want if you are doing these 3 or 4 things? Because I'm sure we're all doing it at some level.
Yeah.
And you might be able to help us understand why it's not working with this line of thinking.
This is an awesome question, and I was literally having this conversation yesterday. One of the things people do is they stop planting the seeds. You know how we go on these roller coasters of like, we've got lots of clients and we've got no clients, and it's, you know, oh, well, business is up and down and it's a roller coaster and that's life. It doesn't have to be that way. What happens is people do their prospecting and they get busy with the appointments. They go into negotiations and closing and onboarding. And while they're doing that, their pipeline is drying up and then they're starting down here again.
Yep.
So if you are consistent with your outbound prospecting efforts, no matter what, no matter how busy you are on the other side of things, that will not happen. The other mistake I see people making, oh gosh, there's a lot. How much time do we have?
You can give me as long a list as you got. This is good.
The other thing that I see people doing is they make stories in their head. They reach out to someone once, twice, at the most 3 times, and then they stop calling. And they say, well, they're not interested. They don't want what I have. They're on my email drip list. If they want me, they'll reach out to me. They didn't call me back, so they're good. Here's the thing. How many fires do we all put out a day, right? Personal, professional. How many things do we all have that we're managing at once? To make up a story of why someone's not getting back to you, you know, that's something we do. Like, I don't want to get into like the neuroscience of it, but it's to keep us safe, right? Because rejection is scary. We kind of equate it to death and to fear of like our safety. We're safe. I've never died once from a cold call, trust me. But that's what our brains do. So we make up these stories like they're not interested. They don't want this. It's never about that. If I built my business off of only making calls once or 3 times, I would not have a business.
What's the average number of times you have to call to actually get through?
Well, the data says 7 to 8 times.
Okay. Yeah. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah. Yeah, to get the initial conversation.
Yeah.
And then there's follow-up.
Yeah.
And we can go months sometimes. You know, we've got methods of like how to follow up in a way that's creating value each time. So it's not sounding like, hey, I'm just circling back. Hey, I'm just checking in. Hey, I'm just reaching out. Hey, I'm just touching base.
Yeah, no, there's some good TikTok videos on like the guy goes, I'm just calling to check, but click, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So we have methods that we teach our clients that we use to bring value to each interaction.
Yep. Yeah.
Instead of just saying, do you want to buy my thing?
Yeah. I used to teach my sales force this. So you never make a call unless you add value.
Right.
Bring an article, bring a new idea, bring an engineering diagram that they need to talk about, something. If you are not never just make a call to make a call. You have to add value every single time.
Correct.
And it did work. You're making me remember ancient days when I would do field work and we'd have some time and I'd be with a rep. I go, hey, let's go make some cold calls. which they love to hear that. And we drive by, we go into an industrial park. I'm like, how about those guys? They do medical equipment. Like we sell the medical equipment. Let's go see them. And they're like,
Yeah.
watch this though. They go, oh, the parking lot looks full. They must be really busy. Like,
Yeah.
how can you discern the attitude of the person we're going to meet by looking at a parking lot? It was crazy the excuses they would make not to go do it. So consequently, they hated me. But, you know, we actually made a couple sales out of literally chasing smokestacks, but not the most productive way, I will admit. So
No, and you know, it's funny. The whole thing about cold calling is you can make so many more outreaches, touch points at a time rather than knocking on the door. And honestly, post-COVID, that's over. I don't think people, I would not recommend that people go like physically knock on
no,
doors.
there's no people there anymore. Yeah.
There's no people there, and there's like, you know, there's still the I don't want to say social distancing, because like we're past that, but it's just not welcome anymore. It's not part.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So,
I just
okay.
think it's a lot more productive to use.
Never stop through all the cycles. It
Right.
takes more than 3 calls, so don't give up
Yeah.
after 3. What else are we doing wrong?
I think that you're probably calling the wrong people.
Oh, talk to me about that. That's an interesting point.
Okay, so there's twofold on that. You have to know your ICP, your ideal
Yep.
client profile, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're easy. We're like CEO, please. I mean,
Right.
but that's simple.
More
Most
than that. CEOs of what size?
we're clear on that. But yes,
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
CEOs where? What industries?
Yep. Yep.
What does the team look like? What does the revenue look like?
Yep. Yep. We do have all that. Yeah.
Okay.
But
And
a
then
lot of people don't.
said,
They go, well, I could be talking to a purchasing manager, or a CFO, or a chief legal, or a COO,
Yeah.
or they have like 5 titles they could be talking to, right?
so then you've got your ideal demographic. You cross-reference it with the ideal psychographic, which, like I said, depends
Yep.
on who that, you know, what that is. You may want to look at, I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
For you, you may want to look at CEOs that have been named top 50 companies to work for,
Mhm.
because they clearly care about creating culture in their companies that would translate to the fact that they would be a great member for the CEO project.
Yep. We actually like
might be.
new CEOs.
New in there, but yep, I'd
Those are
say
always,
3 to 9 months new.
yep. Yeah, because they got to
in the
get their
first
feet
3
under the
months.
desk.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but those are perfect for us.
That's a great one because you don't
Yeah.
have the resistance to change.
Yep. Mhm.
And then, okay, so your ICP, who you're calling on,
Yep.
then what happens when you get the gatekeeper?
Yep. How do you get
So
through it?
here's a big issue that I see people do.
Yeah.
They oftentimes people treat gatekeepers like human voicemail receptacles.
No.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
But the message for a gatekeeper is going to be different than the message for a decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
If you can create an advocate and an ally from that gatekeeper,
Yep.
explain to them why this makes their life easier, their life better, their life less chaotic, stressful, you fill in the blank. If they push this call through, if they let you get connected, it's the whole what's in it for me, right?
Yeah.
The WIFM for a gatekeeper is very different than for the decision maker. So you have to have messaging that addresses that as well.
Okay, that's great.
It's all about saying something that resonates, where someone goes, I was just saying that. I was just thinking that. Get out of my head.
Yeah.
You have to say something that resonates. And what resonates with CEO will not resonate with the gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Got it. What else?
What other mistakes are people making?
Yeah. Yeah. This is
They're
great.
not doing it at all. They're saying they don't have the time. Other prospecting channels that they're doing wrong. I'm going to give you an example. This is I've got props. See? Okay. How many times have you gone to a networking event? And then 6 months later, you put that sports coat on, blazer, and go into your purse
and find business cards. Yeah.
Right?
It happened to me the other day. I'm really
I never got back with that. You know, that's crazy. This is foolish. What are you doing if you're running around, you know, networking? So the other thing that we work with our clients on is prospecting strategy with other channels that they can bring leads into their system, making sure that those are optimized. That never happens with us. We have a system that is seamless. When I meet people at networking events, we have a system where within 72 hours, I have a meeting booked with them.
Wow.
75% of the time.
Hmm.
87% of the time within 96 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's close to 100% with like once we get further
Over
out.
time. Yeah.
But we get appointments with people that we meet and people that we choose to meet with, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then also getting intentional about where are you networking? Are you really going to networking events or are you just at a bar 4 nights a week, right? I mean, who has time for that? And it's not really productive if you're not at an event where your ideal client is or people who work with your ideal client.
Right.
Because that can be productive also. So that's the other mistake people make is they just kind of do all of this activity to be busy, but it's not intentional.
All right. Interesting. What about having the sales force do prospecting?
I'm sorry?
Having your sales force do prospecting.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's part of creating some SOPs for that. Just like I said, do you want your sales force just charging you to be at a bar 4 nights a week? Or do you want them to truly be in spaces that they need to be in to be productive? So it's really about creating processes and procedures for them. I think not everyone is going to be a hunter for you.
Yep.
But if you have someone who's really interested in that, absolutely develop that. Most of our clients hire us because they don't have that on their team. You know, they tell us they're like, our salespeople are great once they get a lead, but man, they're not bringing leads in.
Right.
So that's why most people will hire us. But if you have someone in-house who will go do that, who's hungry, who like really has the drive, absolutely develop that.
Got it.
Keep them focused.
Yep. Interesting. That's fun. Well, cool. And maybe just you mentioned sort of getting in front of people doesn't work anymore, and meaning because there's no people there.
Right.
What are other things are atmospherically or environmentally negative to trying to do this? I mean, one that I've observed is the use of voicemail to hide. Like if you don't recognize the number, you're not going to pick it up, right? So you're going to have to go to voicemail a couple of times before you might maybe get through. What sort of things are getting in the way of this being a productive strategy?
In terms of leaving voicemails?
Well, no, in terms of getting actually a voice-to-voice contact with somebody at some point, it feels like there are a number of things getting in the way of it.
Yeah, right? I think one of the things you're right. I think a lot of people roll to voicemail. That's fine. You know, what you can do is you can follow up with a LinkedIn message.
Yep.
Or a text is something that you could do. I don't believe in the mass texting thing, man. I get so many of those. They are so annoying.
Yeah. No, there's going to be rules about those pretty quickly here.
Yeah.
Too.
But if you text someone of like, and again, not mass texting, because you can get in a lot of trouble like that, but you just send a text, you know, I just left you a voicemail, or hey, left you a few voicemails. Just want you to put like a face to a name. Here's why I'm reaching out.
Yep.
Sometimes that works better. I've got a lot of voicemails in my inbox right now that they do tend to pile up a bit. So using different methodology that still creates that high touch outreach. LinkedIn is great because they can see your photo and they can see that you're a real human person, not a bot.
Yep.
One of the things I love, people would be like, take me off your list. Like, I'm not a telemarketer. I'm so sorry. That's not what this is. But what it also allows is that I don't work with jerks.
Yep.
And my clients don't want to work with jerks.
You just told me we shouldn't work with you.
So the funniest thing is that, you know, I tell my 10-year-old the same thing I tell my team, hurt people hurt people. If someone's going to be horrible to you, that's about who they are, not about who you are.
Yeah.
I have talked to CEOs in Fortune 500 companies who give me all of the time that I need to explain why I'm reaching out, and they are courteous, respectful, professional, all of that. And I've talked to gatekeepers for, you know, low 6-figure businesses who treat me like I'm the scum of the earth, but that has nothing to do with me. That's who they need me to be, so they feel better about themselves. Like, I don't make up stories. Like, you know, you don't. A lot of people equate like, oh, I'm too busy for you, or it's all stories.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
stories. And if you just go with the energy of, you are a friend, you are a contact, you are a colleague, we just haven't met yet.
Yep.
And I approach all of it like that. I have that tone in my voice, the same tone I would call a friend with, because I truly believe it because I've seen it happen.
Nice.
Some of my closest friends I've made from cold calling.
Yeah.
Swear to
God. When people are like that, I usually joke. I go, they had trouble when they were a child.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I might be more right than you'd like to
Yeah.
admit I was when I say that, but it's something else going on. It's not
Yeah.
the thing. So awesome. Well, hey, Jennifer, this was tremendous. I really, just a lot of interesting ideas. I think you probably caused the audience to reflect on how they're approaching this and realizing there's a better way about it. This was tremendous. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do it if they wanted to continue the conversation?
So our website is appreciatedasset.com. You can also email me at jennifer@appreciatedasset.com. You can find us on the socials, Jennifer Frye. I'm on LinkedIn and all of the, LinkedIn. Just call me there. Find me there.
Perfect.
And
awesome.
I would love to continue the conversation.
Tremendous. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate your time, and this was great. And for all that were listening, we will see you next time. It won't be the Lazy CEO podcast next time. It'll be the CEO Project podcast next time. We'll see you then. Have a good day. This podcast is brought to you by the CEO Project. At the CEO Project, we work with CEOs to help them grow their business. And our members represent billions of dollars of revenue and profit. And frankly, amongst all of us, we've probably made every mistake in the book, including some you haven't made yet. So if you want to learn from the experience of a bunch of really seasoned CEOs, we're a great place to hang out. In this podcast, what you're going to hear are some of those ideas, concepts, and things that are just going to help you on your journey. If you want to find out more, reach out to us at theceoproject.com, or you can contact me personally at jim@theceoproject.com. Happy listening.
Thanks for listening to the Lazy CEO podcast. We'll see you next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes and check out our website, www.theceoproject.com.